up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackowitz. This is the Kaged Review, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I saw Tyrone Magnus do this thing where he was reacting to, I think it was 24 questions black people have for white people, and it was, kind of funny, kind of serious. But I thought, you know what? I'm a white people. Why not just answer the questions? BuzzFeed does this. They have these like racially charged segments where they have, black questions for white people asking questions for black people, Muslims, Latino, Orientals, whatever the case may be. It's, just groups of a particular race asking questions to another particular race. And I think it's kind of racially charged, meant to have some fun, but also meant to kind of make people think. But I'm just going to have some fun with it. I'm just going to answer the questions, literally, with the first thing that comes into my head. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is 24 questions black people have for white people.
Why do you always make such horrible decisions in horror movies? It's not cool to split up.
Okay, I can answer that very easily. It's because the directors suck nowadays, the writers suck even worse, and movies are complete bullshit. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, pink, purple, polka dotted, or striped. If you're in a movie, you're gonna make a stupid decision.
Why do you freak out when black people are cast to play white fictional characters?
I don't freak out at all, actually. I don't understand why anybody would. I actually loved the casting for Domino, who is usually a white girl in the comics, and they cast Zazie Beetz, and I thought she just fucking killed it. So, yeah, I don't care.
What's the big deal if Idris Elba plays James Bond? I would go see it twice.
I actually love Idris Elba, and I would probably go see it twice myself, so good call.
Why is a big butt and big lips considered attractive on a white woman, but they're unattractive on a black woman?
I don't really understand the separation, to be very honest. I'm a huge fan of big butts regardless. I just like asses, so I don't care if it's a white girl or a black girl. If she got a nice ass, hey, she got a nice ass. I'm also a big fan of full lips, so it doesn't really bother me at all.
Do y'all really think Miley is the one who created twerking? Really?
I didn't know that Miley twerked. She doesn't have an ass. I mean, come on, have you seen the MTV Music Awards a couple years ago? That thing looks like a half-baked chicken.
Why am I supposed to teach you how to twerk? I don't know how to twerk.
You definitely don't need to teach me how to twerk, because that's not my field. Sorry, you missed me on that one.
Why is it that white people always act as though they have discovered a new trend when people of color have been doing it for virtually years?
Probably one of two reasons. One, they didn't know that black people started it because some people are very ignorant about where things come from. Or two, which is my case, I don't. If I see a trend, I like it, I use it. It doesn't matter where it came from. I certainly don't try to incorporate it as mine unless I created it. And that doesn't mean black people, white people, anything. Pop culture is what it is. People are going to borrow from it. So, as long as people aren't assuming that it's literally theirs, then it shouldn't matter. And I guess there are people who do try to do that, and I don't know why. But I don't.
Why is it when a black woman wears her hair natural, it's seen as inappropriate, but when a white woman does, it's praised?
Who the fuck thinks wearing natural hair is inappropriate?
This is the hair that I was born with, so you wearing it as a trend is not cute.
Well, to be fair, there's this whole big issue with cultural appropriation, and sometimes I think people are just not realizing that it's cultural appreciation. But you can't have both sides of the coin. It's not, oh, you don't want anything to do with our culture, you don't like us, blah, blah, blah. But when we do like you and when we do like certain styles and we incorporate them into our own, it's like, oh, well, now you're just trying to be like us and it's not cool. But there's another side of that coin too, because honestly, how many black girls spend hours straightening their hair so they can have nice flowing hair? I mean, it works both ways. And I honestly think it's kind of ridiculous to kind of pigeonhole that, because who really cares? If a person wants to have a certain style about them, as long as they know what it is and where it comes from, let them have their style. Let them be who they are. So I think that's, it's just kind of ridiculous if you're actually talking about unity. My thoughts.
Like, can you appropriate my student loans? Can you take that off my hands?
Yes, I can appropriate your student loans. If you appropriate my medical bills. Seems like a fair trade.
Why is it that white crime is seen as an isolated incident, but black crime is a representation of my entire community?
Honestly, that's a really, really tough question for me to answer because I don't really know. But here's, statistically, there's an issue and I don't know what that issue is. I don't get into it. And I'm going to share the statistics with you just very, very quickly. When you get into this, white people, and this is 2017, for burglaries, there was 33,095. Black people, there were 41,562. So that's almost 9,000 more. Murder, 4,192 by white people, 4,935 by black people. That's only 750 roughly more. The difference is white people make up 76.9% of the population, black people make up 13.3%. Now, I'm not going to get into the logistics of why it happens. I don't know. I don't try to read into it. And I certainly don't look at the news and every time I hear a story about somebody, just pigeonhole everybody because I know that's bullshit. It's not fair and it's not true. But when I read statistics like that, I'm like, people are going to see this and wonder why. And they're going to pigeonhole and they're going to stereotype and they're going to be like, oh, well, this, and this. And the truth is that I understand that there are certain positions that do make black people's lives harder, and therefore that's probably part of the explanation for the higher crime rates. And I'm not making excuses, I'm just saying the way life is, people don't like to admit that sometimes your environment affects your life, but it does. I can say that firsthand. So this is a little bit deeper than I got with everything else so far, obviously, but I wanted to share my opinion about this because I really don't know why. I really don't know the logistics of it completely. Some people are not going to try to be as free thinking though, and they're going to close their mind off. They're going to see this and they're going to be like, oh, well, clearly there is an issue here. So it sucks and it's unfair, but it's kind of the state of where the world is at right now.
When we see a story on TV about a white serial killer, I don't automatically assume that all white people must be serial killers too.
Well, and that goes back to what I just said. I don't personally see a story about somebody on the news, black guy, murdering somebody or robbing someone, and automatically assume that the entire race is like that because I know better. I know very well educated, very well spoken black men who are very successful. And so I don't get into that, a lot of people do though. That's just an unfortunate state of where we are.
Why does talking about race make you feel so uncomfortable?
Talking about race actually does not make me feel uncomfortable at all. I'm very confident in how I feel, so not a problem.
Is it because you think that you'll be perceived as racist if you talk about race?
I think people only fear about being perceived as racist when they talk about races if they actually have some kind of racism going on there. There are a lot of hidden bigots that when they start talking have a bunch of word vomit that really expels who they truly are.
You don't really believe that racism is over because we have a black president, do you?
No, I don't believe that racism is over because we have a black president. As a matter of fact, I think racism got worse because we had a black president. And unfortunately, since this is clearly a few years old, it's gotten even worse with Trump. Trump has been able to bring out the inner bigot in a lot of people. And I don't care if you're left wing or right wing, when Trump took office, there were a lot of white supremacists that just felt like they were going to have a field day. And it was a very discomforting time for me, to be very honest.
Why is it so easy for you to notice when there are no white people around, but you hardly ever notice when there are no black people around?
I don't notice when most people are not around because I don't like most people. I'm not a people person. And it's so funny because I could go into the whole stereotypical, I got a lot of black friends, but the truth is, I do have a lot of black friends. My longest relationship with was a black girl, but I was also raised for a lot of my formative years with a black family. And I've seen firsthand the shit that they've had to go through, but I've grown to have a lot of black friends. Just as many white friends as sometimes in my life more. And so, to say that I would distinguish between one or the other is kind of foolhardy, honestly.
Why is your goal to be colorblind?
There's so many different types of people in the world, yet you can't see color?
Okay, shit like this to me is just stupid. Saying colorblind doesn't mean that you don't see color and blah, blah, blah. Okay, everybody is their own exceptional person. It doesn't matter. You have your own race, your own creed, your own religion, your own sex, whatever. We accept what's special about you. That's not why we say colorblind. Colorblind is not ignoring the fact that you're a specific race. I think that's just playing on words and fucking stupid.
Why do you want to say the N-word so badly?
If I don't use it, what makes you think you can?
Why?
The N-word's a touchy subject for a lot of people. When I was living with a black family and had a lot of black friends, it's funny because we could say the N-word back and forth to each other and it didn't mean anything because they knew who I was. They knew it and I didn't mean it as a disrespect. It was like, that's my dog. And we got that. And it was never an issue. Of course, back then I thought I was a little bit more hood than I was, but, nowadays I'm a completely different person. I've tried to get myself a little bit more professional, a little bit more educated, and I don't use the N-word now at all anyway, regardless, even with the people that I probably could, just because I do find it disrespectful, and I don't try to disrespect anybody ever for any reason unless they have it coming. And I don't really particularly like when it's used amongst the black community. But it's their thing, it's their word, whatever, they can have it. But for me personally, since I'm not, I feel like, people that don't know me, would instantly take it out of context. So I just leave it alone. So I really have no desire to say it.
Why do you always want to touch our hair?
Who told you it was okay to touch people without their permission?
I don't want to touch anybody's hair. That's just weird and kind of creeperish.
Why do you feel like having one black friend makes you a cultural expert or not a racist?
Well, I certainly have more than one black friend, but I don't feel like I'm a cultural expert, not even on my own race. So, doesn't qualify for me.
Is your only black friend comfortable with being the reason why you can't be racist?
By that logic, then I'm not racist. I have a ton of white friends.
Well, good. Then that should be the goal for everybody, isn't it? I mean, having a lot of friends, no matter what race they are, creed, religion, sex. I mean, I believe in inclusion, so great. That's the point. People get too hung up on race and, the differences that we have and not appreciating the differences. We see them as something we need to be afraid of or something that, we don't understand, so we have to fear it. Where when we start embracing the differences in people, the world just suddenly becomes a much better place.
Why do you feel comfortable cursing at your parents?
I will say that I think there's a difference in white families and black families as a generalization. Black families, I've seen where, you can cuss each other out and shit and, you're going to have your own wars. But if anybody tries to step in, all bets are off and you're fighting to the death for your family and the people you care about. White families I don't feel are as close at times. And I'm speaking from personal experience from my own family and families that I've known. They just don't feel as unified most of the time. And I don't know where that comes from. I really don't.
Why do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
I don't kiss my dog on the mouth, and that's fucking disgusting.
How come you can't pronounce black names like Kovanjane, but can say names like Schwarzenegger, Galifianakis, and LaBeouf just fine?
Because Schwarzenegger, Galifianakis, and LaBeouf are fucking movie stars. You see their names in the movies all the time. You see them in the media all the time. If Kovanjane was a fucking movie star, then I'd know how to say it.
Why do you feel like all lions' lives matter, but black lives don't?
Why is a lion's life in Africa more important than the lives of black people here in America? What did Simba ever do for you?
I get it. Lion King was an awesome movie, but so was Selma, and so was Malcolm X.
Yes, Lion King was an awesome movie. I've never heard of Lions Lives Matter, and I don't know where that came from. I never heard of it. So here's the thing with Black Lives Matter. It started as a movement, and I understood it, and I got it. I didn't feel that there was anything bad about it. My problem with Black Lives Matter is whenever this fucking supposed leader of the movement started her list of demands from white people, that it became caricature and stupid and pointless and really only elevated this victim mentality that I fucking hate in anybody in any society. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this lady, I forget her name, she had made a list of 10 things that the Black Lives Matter movement expects from white people. And it had to do with things literally like when you're about to die, if you have no kids, you have to give property to a black family. Or even if you have, you know, enough wealth, you have to share with black families. And that, like I said, it only breeds this bullshit victim mentality where you just want fucking handouts. And black people deserve better than that kind of shit. I believe that any person, black, white, Latin, Asian, doesn't matter, has the potential to come here and make whatever they fucking want out of their lives. Don't look for handouts. Work for it. Get there, and you can do it. Trust me, all it takes is dedication. So when I hear shit like that, I instantly lose respect for it. So the Black Lives Matter thing, it may have started as a good thing, but it went very quickly downhill from somebody's fucking idiotic bullshit perception of what we should do. Yeah, so that's my thought on that.
Why is it so hard for you to acknowledge your privilege?
You know, I really don't acknowledge my privilege in certain terms. Like, I think everybody has the opportunity to do something. Having said that, I have seen very personally attacks on black people. My black girlfriend that I was dating for a while, I would see people, running by and yelling the N-word and throwing shit at her. And no, I've never had to deal with that specifically. I've seen people go in and be judged on their looks right offhand, which is very unfair. And it does create a thing where, there are times where black people do have a harder time trying to get shit accomplished, like getting a job or, something like that. If they're walking into a place where, you have people on staff who are either racist or just judged by initial look, it happens. So in that way, I actually do acknowledge my quote-unquote white privilege. I know that there are things about my skin tone that make my life easier.
How does it feel to not be the spokesperson for your entire race at any given time?
Must be nice.
Well, I'm definitely not the spokesperson for my entire race. But I do like to share my opinions, and they are only my opinions. It comes from the life I've lived and the things that I've seen. So you take that for what it's worth. But anyway, I thought this was fun to do. I thought it would just be kind of a cool way to talk about, specific things that they brought up in this video. So ladies and gentlemen, that is 24 questions black people have for white people. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope maybe you took something away from it. If you like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think in the comments below. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation out.